On this lovely Friday, I have a quick Donald Trump question to ask. Where is Steve Bannon? And in this breaking story, you're going to understand why you haven't really heard much from Steve Bannon. You see, it's one thing to be a Trump acolyte, even a sycophant, or, of course, just a lapdog. And the irony in this is, for a long time, many years, and also Trump's first administration, we thought Steve Bannon was the person to be really concerned about and scared. And yet in this breaking story, there's a reason why there's a number of people you used to hear from a lot surrounding Trump that you don't hear from anymore, and it's because of one person, and it is not Elon Musk in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Oh, no, far worse than that. And it is imperative that we stay focused on this individual. I'm going to show that to you in just a few seconds. In the meantime, really quick, why don't we take a listen to what this particular crazy person has to say? Check this out.
He's sort of underwater, and particularly on the economy, tariffs, and inflation, he's well underwater. You've still got some work to do in that front. A lot of people think that he's spending too much time on tariffs and not enough time on the economy and lowering prices. What do you say?
Well, I don't want to make things awkward for you, John, but it is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that. But the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump.
As we gather this morning to continue our celebration of President Trump's unprecedented and historic first 100 days in office, what are without doubt the greatest 100 days to begin any American presidency in the history of this nation.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous, communist, woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
Oh yes, Stephen Miller has the Project 2025 playbook stamped on his forehead, and he is running it step by step with Donald Trump's approval. And the most frightening part of Stephen Miller's existence is if this actually happens in this breaking story. And that's what Trump may be about to do for Stephen Miller, and big trouble for the U.S. when he gets put in this position. Take a look at the story. Breaking news. Stephen Miller emerges as top contender for Trump's next national security advisor. President Trump's top policy advisor, Stephen Miller, is garnering buzz inside the White House as a top candidate to be the next national security advisor. 5 sources familiar with the situation tell Axios why it matters. Miller, the deputy chief of staff and the brain behind Trump's controversial immigration crackdown, is one of the president's longest-serving and most trusted aides. Miller's name surfaced shortly after Trump removed Mike Waltz as national security advisor on Thursday and nominated Waltz to become the next United Nations ambassador. Zooming in, Miller already is the administration's Homeland Security advisor and is an aggressive defender of the administration's legal push for immediate deportations of unauthorized immigrants without court hearings. One White House source told Axios via text that Miller has made the Homeland Security Council run like clockwork, and that's it's, in quotes, infinitely more effective than the NSC, National Security Council, with a tiny fraction of the staff. Zooming out, Trump has a penchant for putting his faith in a small number of advisors and piling responsibilities on their plate, so insiders say it wouldn't be unusual for Miller to hold multiple titles just as Marco Rubio does. Given how well he's worked with Marco Rubio, many see him as the perfect person to restore the role of the NSA to a staff-level policy role that reports to the chief of staff instead of some inflated cabinet position, said another insider. A fourth source said Miller signaled interest in the job Thursday, but Miller couldn't be reached for comment to confirm. A fifth source said Miller might not want the job, in quotes, if it takes him away from his true love, immigration policy. What's next? Those who understand the president's thinking say it's unclear how long he wants to keep Rubio as national security advisor. But one of the administration sources said that, in quotes, if Stephen wants the job, it's hard to see why Trump wouldn't say yes. The big picture? The Deputy Chief of Staff has already been shaping policy, particularly and controversially, on immigration, from inside the White House and is one of Trump's longest-serving and most trusted aides. Once again, I am never trying to be an alarmist. There are just things that are extraordinarily alarming, and this is why the judicial branch and the Supreme Court are so incredibly important at this moment in time, and not just after the first 100 days, for the next 100 days and the 100 days after that, without question. Because someone like Stephen Miller, being put in the position of National Security Advisor with what's currently going on with Tom Homan and ICE, and what's currently going on with the attacks on the court, we are staring at a very, very, very specific three-pronged attack that Donald Trump is having on essentially what we know to be the checks and balances that make up American democracy. And so if we don't stay frosty, that's why I use that phrase, if we don't stay frosty on Stephen Miller, we are missing the boat. Because yes, there are a lot of people that we want to get upset with, whether it's Caroline Leavitt or what Pam Bondi is doing in the Attorney General's position. But Stephen Miller, mark my words, is the guy we really have to stay frosty on. You guys have a good weekend. I'll see you soon.